That is the opening bell on Wall Street. Americares gets the honor today. President and CEO Christine Squires is ringing the bell to stress the importance of increasing access to health care in times of disaster for folks every day. Let's take a live look at the markets right now. Stocks are slightly up, a little under 0.5%. The Dow is up 183 points. We're going to obviously continue to follow it. Let's bring in Axios national correspondent Emily Peck, who's joining us now to talk about the economy and what the president had to say about it yesterday during the State of the Union. Emily, always good to see you. So the president,
great to see you.
Yeah, he touted a roaring economy, highlighting the record highs of the stock market. Let's listen to what he said.
One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis.
All right, so certainly for those of us who have 401ks, the market hitting 50,000 is great. But a lot of Americans do not have 401ks. The president touted also drug prices, for example, at one point saying we're going to have the lowest drug prices in the world. Well, most of the developed world offers medications for free, so that's not necessarily true. So I guess the question is, who's benefiting from this amazing economy that the president's talking about?
I guess first I would say the economy is doing okay. President Trump is really suffering from the same situation that President Biden was dealing with, which is the markets are looking good. By a lot of macroeconomic measures, things are looking good. But under the hood, Americans are struggling with higher prices, with inflation. It's lower than it was, certainly at its peak, but it's still above where the Federal Reserve likes it to be. And people are really struggling to just simply pay the bills right now. And you're totally right. There are plenty of people who aren't invested in the stock market and for whom, the solid returns this year aren't very helpful. And I would just add to that the S&P 500, the Dow, they are up this year a little bit. But if you look at international stock markets, they're doing a lot better than the U.S. this year. I mean, if you're an investor in another country, in another country's market, you are probably doing better than an American invested in the American stock markets.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, Emily, the president, of course, talked about how inflation is slowing, energy costs are coming down. But like you mentioned, a lot of people are not feeling that when they're going to the supermarket, when they're buying food. We talk about this all the time in the commercial breaks, Vlad. Do you think the president offered solutions to those people in his speech? And do you think that he convinced folks who are worried about the economy that the situation's actually better than what they're feeling?
The president offered a couple of new seeming and interesting policies. For example, the retirement plan you were hinting at. There's also this notion that he kind of briefly flicked at that that tech companies rather would chip in for their own energy costs, because we know that electricity prices have been rising as AI data centers sort of gobble up the energy in the country. Overall, though, I don't think he moved the needle or probably convinced anyone that he's doing a lot more than that to address affordability right now. I think that would take a lot more.
Yeah, so before you go, Emily, you said something really interesting, which was what we all noticed during the waning days of the Biden administration. You saw the Vice President Kamala Harris out there on the campaign trail trying to explain to people that from where we were during COVID to where we were at that point in the campaign, we were doing a lot better, that the markets were doing better, that, the inflation was coming down, right? It wasn't at its highs.
Yeah.
And yet people said, I don't feel that way. It feels as if everything's still very expensive. And you pointed out that the Trump administration is dealing with the same thing, where you're looking at grocery prices now that are higher, 22% higher, I think is the number, than they were during the last year of Joe Biden's term. So what is it? Because we often say, the president is going to be punished in the midterms or in the next election because of the economy. How much influence does this president specifically and the last president have on where we are right now in the economy?
I mean, the truth is, for most presidents, they don't have much effect on the economy. I will say with President Trump, he has had outsized effect on the markets. If you remember back to Liberation Day, those announcements really tanked stocks back in April, and they've come back from there. But you've seen this president really do a lot to sort of make the market move in ways that I think other presidents just simply have not. But overall, I don't think there's a ton a president can do about the economy. And again, it's not that the economy is so bad right now. It's just the perception of the economy is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And those high prices, inflation may come down, but the level of prices is not coming down. And it's hard to make people feel better about that. That's tough.
For sure. Emily Peck, really great to have you, Emily. Thank you very much. Appreciate
you,
your
Emily.
reporting.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.